Hello and welcome to another edition of Photographica and another recording of one of my thinking photography pieces which appears in Black and White Photography edition 190 which came out I think on about the 12th of May. I'm actually currently in Singapore, working in Singapore, and I've decided to record this as open air as possible, so you can hear the beautiful and enchanting bird song that I can hear all around where I'm staying. In fact, you hear it all over Singapore, and it's a very, very hot morning. It's about 90 degrees already and probably about 110% humidity. If you like that kind of thing, and I do, it is an unbelievably lovely climate when it's at its best. And like yesterday, we have these biblical downpours, which are just unbelievable. I mean, you can't believe that much water can be contained in a city. And then you get these beautiful still mornings where the birds seem to just sing for hours after the dawn chorus. I don't know particularly very much about birds, but I can appreciate them in such an exotic habitat as this. Anyway, back to photography. Now I'm going to read as I did last time, and it went down very well with people. And I got a couple of comments, so please let me know what you think. They're just short pieces, easy to digest, I hope. And if anything sticks in your craw, send me an email or get hold of me at on my Twitter at Schneiderman331, and you can find details of all of that on the website. So without further ado, I give you my latest piece for Black and White Photography on context. To start this piece, I'm just going to read the dictionary definition of the word context so that I can place this whole piece in some kind of context. Context: noun, the circumstances that form the setting for an event, statement, or idea, and in terms of which it can be fully understood. I think that sums it up pretty well. On with the piece. To give your work context is to give it meaning to the wider world. Without context, our work may seem irrelevant. With context, our images connect to the intricate dynamic of human experience, enabling people to form a bond with it. The purpose of this piece is to focus on a consideration that we all know to be true, is not often discussed, and can have a great impact on our photographic legacy. In my last article, I spoke of the creation of art as being the act of bringing attention to the abstract. This is a good way to start looking at the concept of context. In observing something and making an exposure, you have effectively placed your subject in its own context, one that has meaning for you. This initial personal contextualization gives the impetus required for the photographer to capture the image and give him or her the reason to commit to it. Let's say this is called primary context. At this stage, all sorts of nuances, details and fluctuations of meaning are either consciously or subconsciously known by its originator. Now a selection of images is made, perhaps for an exhibition, a book, or entering into a competition. At this stage, secondary contextualization is required. As your images transfer from the private world of their inception and selection to the public world of arbitrary engagement, those qualities and ideas in your work will be lost unless you can elicit some control over how they are viewed. The viewing public do not have the visual acuity, time, or inclination to engage with your images as you would wish, so you must help them by controlling the environment in which your work is seen. The key here is to concentrate the viewer's gaze on your work without distraction. This needs to be done both practically and conceptually. A frame is a practical contextualizing tool. Here, the border allows the elements of the image to live in their own world, a world defined and delineated as something different by the wooden surround. A secondary or conceptual context can be described by imagining the power of a solo show at the Tate versus the display of some work in a village hall. The same pictures may be exhibited, but to different effect by leveraging gravity by association. These issues are all vital for placing your work in the right light, perspective, or context. This is a report from the front line of working with photographers over many years, but it is not exhaustive. The craft of placing your work in the right context might come to you instinctively or not. It doesn't matter. Context is essential when it comes to generating the most effect from showing your work. Context is relevance. It can't be put simpler than that. Ignore it at your peril. Here are some observations made during my time printing for photographers all over the world. I've had a chance to examine success and failure at close hand, and these notes reflect some of the lessons I've learned. Online. It is too easy to show your images to many people. Flickr, Facebook, Instagram, and the like all make the exposition of your work almost automatic. But unless your pictures are connected to an event or cause, these media are disastrous for preserving the gap between the metaphysic truth of your images and the prosaic mess of the world around them. Your work needs space to make its own case. It is much better to use these media to bring people to your own website. Websites. Picture editors and curators have told me so many times that websites need to fulfill only two functions: clear visibility of images and ease of navigation. That's it. A website does not need to be pretty, rather functional, allowing the work to speak. Group shows versus solo shows. When showing prints, avoid group shows. They do nobody's work any favors. Instead, commit to your images and find a space where they can be shown on their own. Group exhibitions have the benefit of bringing more people in to view your work, and they can be effective for people starting out, but they are messy, prone to compromise, and have the effect of degrading the power of your work, especially when your work is adjacent to a weaker display. The aforementioned Village Hall solo show is a better environment to display your work rather than risking contamination by acquaintance with poor images. Presentation. Framing is over-considered. You cannot reinvent photography with a stunning frame. Keep it simple and make all your pictures the same size so that the viewer can tune out the ancillary details and concentrate on the actual images. iPads are great for casually showing your work, but we automatically devalue the work on show because screen images are so pervasive in our visual lives. Hanging pictures is crucial to their impact. Poor hanging will reduce the power of your exhibition by a huge amount. Make sure that frames are neat and clean and hung so that they are dead straight. Failure to do this will make you look like an amateur. I mean this in the pejorative sense. Neat hanging is more important than correct exposure for the purposes of connecting with viewers. Portfolios. A set of prints in a clamshell portfolio box endures as a good way to show your work. Allow wide borders, go up a paper size to incorporate this, and you get the double benefit of being able to handle prints and the separation from the environment that every good shot deserves. Curating a selection. Losing a third. Some of my clients refer to the process of selection as drowning your babies, a horrific term but one that sums up the process well. Your final selection should hurt. There will be love pictures left behind because they weaken the whole. So, those are my observations on placing your work in the best context in order to have it seen by the wider world. No doubt I could have added to that if I had the space to go on. But I think those points are the key ones. And I'd be very interested to hear from you. I've already heard I've been picked up on my comment about group shows by somebody who clearly is expert in the exhibiting of photography, and he took issue with my comment about group shows. Now, every rule, as you know, is liable to be broken or should be broken by the right person. Now, if I say group shows are rubbish, that is to say that I am imagining a group show in the context of work uncurated, shown without adhesion to a central theme and without the proper contextualization of the work, if you like. And no doubt a properly curated, dynamically researched and expertly hung and installed group show could be a very exciting and beneficial exhibiting environment for work. But most group shows aren't. Most group shows are a matter of convenience, and matter of cheapness and getting people in, and in the end they just look like a mess. So I'm going to qualify my statement about group shows, and I would like to thank David Lyle of Aberystwyth for pulling me up on that and making me think a bit deeper about that. But that is the point, and I think it's probably the most controversial point in the piece. I absolutely hold with the idea that unselected, uncurated group shows are a mess and best avoided. But apart from that, if there's anything else that you'd like to add or let me know about or take me up on, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. You can do that through my Twitter at Schneiderman331, and the spelling of my name should be spelt with no R and only one N, SCHNEIDEMAN 331. Or email me, that might be easier, at alex@photographic.com. That's alex@photographic.com. Or write into Black and White Photography and let them know what you think. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Until next time, speak to you soon.